It worked.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear
Hey,
me?
hey, I can.
Awesome. Where's the
Loud and
couch?
clear. The couch is it's occupied by a by a toddler that's screaming and a chihuahua that's barking. So I'm stuck in the office. I've been exiled off my couch.
So it's you don't have any heat in your house?
It's minus 45
Oh
in
my god. Oh,
in
Celsius though,
Calgary,
right? Yeah.
Fahrenheit. Well, it's the same
Fahrenheit.
at
Is it the
minus
same?
45 Celsius is minus 45 Fahrenheit. So that's
I
the
always forget that.
I I I had to Google it
Always.
actually before I did this.
Because
It is
I used to
freezing.
use the shortcut all the time. Because
Yeah.
when I was flying as a flight attendant, all the Europeans use centigrade. So
Ah,
I was if you for Celsius to Fahrenheit is double it and add 30, and that's like a shortcut to get like
oh,
close to the
so,
right
so
temperature in Fahrenheit.
okay, that makes sense. So if it was 20 degrees Celsius, it'd be 40 plus 30, 70 degrees. Yeah, that probably makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I always
Oh,
forget that doesn't work when it's negative.
especially that low.
Yeah,
Especially that low. It's brutally,
I was like,
brutally
oh
cold
my
right
god.
now, and our windows are a bit older in the house, so they do let this draft in these rooms, like in this office room. So yeah, it's a little chilly. Mm.
Yeah, I lived in an old house in New Jersey, so it was built in the 20s. So
Oh, well, that's a lot older than mine.
yeah,
Those are the nice. Those are the best houses, though.
yeah,
I
they
love
are.
those ones. I'm a
But
realtor, actually. That's my actual job, and so we sell quite a few of those types of houses.
so that's I don't know. Once a chef, always a chef. That's what I say.
It's true, very true. Are you trained yourself? Like, did you
Yeah, I
go
have my
to school?
bachelor's in pastry, and I
Oh,
worked.
nice.
That's why I was really excited to talk to you because I was like someone who knows about like it's very
Move.
different when you go into like fine dining kitchens
Yeah.
than like they're just different things. They're equally hard, I think, but they're a different kind of
Totally.
hard. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally different demands in each type of restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Totally different demands. But
But
you're
anyway,
right. Once a chef, always a chef. I still wear that name, that badge.
yeah, because nobody unless you do it, you don't know what it's like. Like you think you know what it's like because you're watching Chops, but you don't know what it's like.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You have no idea. It's probably like the military. It's like you think you know what it's like to be in the military because you watch movies and stuff, but it's like you don't actually know.
Yeah, it's probably yeah. I mean, it was based off, the whole structure of the French kitchen is based off the French military, so
Exactly. Yeah.
good
Exactly.
comparison. But so anyway, for everybody listening, hey guys, welcome to Chef Grace's place. I have today the couch cook, Shane Ball. He's got a great YouTube channel. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your channel and how you got started cooking and all that fun stuff?
Ah, oh man, I don't even know. Do you want the dead honest truth on how it started?
Yeah.
The dead honest truth. I've kind of it's kind of completely left that train of thought now, but so I kickbox competitively and I train in kickboxing and Muay Thai. And there's been this rise in YouTubers entering professional boxing and making
Yeah.
like a ton of money
I'm
doing it, right?
I'm trained in jujitsu.
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah, I saw
yeah,
that. I did see that.
I
Nice.
know I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Who's the blonde guy, the idiot?
Yeah, Jake Paul, right? So
Yeah.
his name is Jake Paul, and his brother Logan Paul, and so they're both doing this thing, and so one night, this was like a year ago when he did his first professional boxing bout, and I was there with my brother, and I said, dude, I could absolutely smash this guy. If I got a fight with him, right, I could beat the brakes off this dude. So I said, what could I do to like get known so I could get a crack at whipping this boy? So I was like, well, I can cook. I know how to cook. So, let's start a YouTube channel to to get a shot at maybe one day. And then that was like the very first thought of the couch cook, and starting a YouTube channel around cooking in hopes one day it could be popular enough where I could actually call him out.
But
But
no,
it's not
that's how
that
you get
anymore.
popular enough. You call him out. You got to talk a
I
bunch
know.
of shit.
Well,
You
yeah,
gotta
but
go Conor
I'm not.
McGregor on his ass and just
Yeah,
talk a bunch of shit. He
I
loses
don't
all
know
the
if I.
fights, but he talks shit.
I know. I got to get a little bit more hype behind the train. A little bit more, and then all of a sudden I'm just gonna snap one day out of nowhere. I'll be making, something cute, and I'll do I don't know, Christmas stuffing, and then I'll just out of nowhere I'm gonna say, oh, and by the way, Jake Paul, you're dead, and then no, everybody's gonna be like, where did that come from? Right? I have a plan. It's gonna. We'll see if it goes anywhere. But that was so. Anyways, that was kind of the very, very beginning thought of starting a YouTube channel and the Couch Cook, like the page as a general. It's not really that anymore. So for a few years prior to this, I didn't cook a whole lot. I moved on from the professional scene, and I burned out. Long story short, there, very well summarized. And and then in between, over the last few years, I haven't really had a nice kitchen. I've been, a lot of the places I've lived in, I've been renovating and flipping, and so it just wasn't like a very inspirational place to work in, to cook in. So now that I'm settled in this house and we have pretty nice kitchen here, I've started cooking a lot more, and then everything kind of made a lot of sense. And then I started posting more food related stuff on my personal Facebook page and my own personal Instagram
we just
page.
Watched, sorry to interrupt you, but we just watched your Hasselback potato one.
Nice.
Which I had no idea that actually had a name when you did that. but my boyfriend was like, is that wood piece? Is that your counter? Or is that a giant cutting board?
It's a custom cutting
that
board.
Thing is
chopping
awesome.
board. Yeah, I tell people it's like 4 feet.
That's so cool.
So it's almost the whole counter, but it's not quite as deep as my my countertop, but it's pretty wide. It's pretty long, like width-wise or lengthwise.
Is it like set in, or you could take it out and wash it, or?
I have it on a cutting board placemat, so I can pick it up and wash it and whatnot. But I only do, like, I'll treat it, because it quite literally is one of the nicest things I own. so
it's beautiful.
So I treat it like a baby.
Did you get it? Did you make it, or someone made it for
you? My uncle made it. Big shout out to Black Maple Studio. I'm gonna plug him in there. But
we'll link him below.
Black Maple Studio. He's awesome. He's a really well-known wood crafter in Canada, and even around most places. He's really well known for his work. And he just had this live edge maple slab, the one that it is, laying around, and I asked him if he could do something with it, and he did it, and he made this one. So it's a live edge maple cutting board.
What does live edge mean for people who don't know anything?
So it's the it's the natural like curvature of the tree. So if they were to like just strip, a big chunk of the core of the tree lengthwise, and they didn't sand out all the live edges and whatnot, they just strip the bark off and then clean up the bark edge, so it looks like the natural curvature of how the tree. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's this nice 3-inch block. It's like a butcher block, but on steroids.
So cool. But anyway, you were saying you didn't have a nice kitchen.
I didn't have a great kitchen, so I got one now, and so I just started cooking a lot more again. And then when I started flooding my own personal page with it, so I thought, let's designate a separate page just for cooking. And now I pretty much don't even look at my personal page anymore. my cooking page, the Couch Cook has become me.
Yeah, I
Yes.
just switched my personal account over because I never posted.
Yeah.
I'm not a big, like, if I didn't have my own business now, like I was never on like social media. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the business aspect is the only thing that keeps me on social media, really.
Yeah.
And I have to have it for the real estate business. And then now I find that the content, and I think my Instagram algorithm has been pretty fine-tuned now on the Couch Cook, that I only see pretty wholesome content that I want to see. It's pretty much based all around food and whatnot, like in my feed, and some people's personal stuff, but it's not inundated with the garbage on a normal feed that you
Yeah, I have like
get.
people must be like, who? I have like food, UFC fighting,
Oh,
Joe
are we
Rogan.
twins? Are we twins?
I am a twin, but you're not my twin.
Oh no, that's funny. That is funny.
He actually just opened his own jiu-jitsu school in his garage in Nevada. He's starting out.
You're kidding.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, so I'm excited for him.
Are you in Nevada right now?
No, I'm in Florida.
Oh.
So yeah. Oh.
Nice.
That's right. It's a little warmer down here.
Yeah, quite a bit.
By West Palm Beach, so like still in South Florida, but like probably like an hour away from Miami.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that close to I'm just gonna ask you that, Sanford MMA? Is that up in that area? Does that make sense? That's where like Gilbert Burns trains out of? Yeah,
I don't know exactly where that is. I know of it, but I am just terrible because before the pandemic, I was only in Florida for like a week out of the month because I was just flying around.
Okay.
So like I never went anywhere in Florida.
Yeah.
So people are like, how long have you been in Florida? And I'm like, 3 years. And they're like, oh, so you know this and this? I'm like, no. Like I'm just, and then in the pandemic, I couldn't go anywhere really. So
yeah,
like, but I actually just got a booth at a farmer's market. I start on Sunday. So I'm going to probably learn more about Florida through the people that come there and stuff. So that's going to be cool.
That's awesome. That'll be fun. Farmer markets are like my thing.
Yeah.
I could spend a lot. I'm the consumer there. just being the consumer guy. I don't know if I could do the farmer market thing myself, but I love going to them. We have lots of them in Alberta, like here in my province. Lots of them. It's a heavy farming province that I'm in, so lots of great farmers markets in the summertime. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Spend a lot of time there.
But so when I first listened to the Couch Cook, I would listen to the podcast though. Are you still going to do that? Because that was great.
Yeah, I am going to keep doing the podcast here, but I just, I got there's a lot of things going on. And then early on with the Couch Cook, I just had, it kind of started going off really quickly. And then the pandemic hit. And then when the pandemic hit, I started doing like the very first part of it, like early March there, when there was a lot of unknowns and it was complete lockdown. I did a lot of just free online cooking classes. So I would do these Zoom calls with 20, 30 people and then just do whatever, fricassee or make gnocchi or just all.
I'm trying to do whatever. That, but I could
a cook along.
I guess a class on Zoom.
Yeah, I could help you. Could give you some tips. I actually had a pretty sweet setup. I used my iMac as my screen, so that way I could see as many screens as possible. And then I used my podcast microphone, so my sound was a lot clearer to everyone that was taking part. But it actually worked out really well. And if I was to ever do cooking classes again, it would never be in person. I think I would only do them online. The interaction for me is perfect balance, because people can't get, because if you do live in-person cooking classes, sometimes it can get kind of carried away, and then it gets, some groups just start spiraling out of control. because they're having too much fun and they're not focusing on cooking and or drinking. They focus on drinking and not cooking, and you know what happened. And then with the Zoom, it's pretty well orchestrated because everybody keeps their mics off, they listen, and then they just turn on the mic if they have a question. So it's a lot more followed along and structured because it's moving along. There's less room for errors, so people are more inclined to pay more attention without interruptions and these kinds of things. So I did the first one, it went brilliantly, and then I got hired to do a whole bunch of private ones. So I did ones for like church parties or some guy's 60th birthday party, but they were able to connect families from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and create this cooking event as a family for a birthday. And it just seemed to be like great because I wouldn't have to leave my kitchen. I'm basically just making dinner because I'm only making like a portion for my family.
That's what I was thinking. The mise en place is super easy.
I just send them, if I do it on a Saturday, I send them the shopping list on Wednesday with the measurements. I give them the instruction list of things to do before the class. So turn on your ovens to this temperature, have all your measurements, wash your leaks or whatever it is. Like do these things before. So when we hit play, we're moving along and everybody does it. There's full compliance. I think I've done it. Now I've had probably a total of, I don't know, 180 to 200 participants somewhere like in total. And I think I've had one guy that was a little bit like on the whim, a little like, oh, you really didn't think about it. But it was one of the private ones. And I think it was like, hey, buddy, just come on for dad's birthday. Just have fun with it. Like, just come do it.
Yeah.
I don't think he was totally bought into it. And he was just kind of going with it. So I got distracted with the podcast when those things started kind of unfolding. And then the real estate business blew up in 2020 for reasons I don't even know why still. Like
because everyone was like, shit, the world's ending. I better grow some vegetables. That's what happened.
Right. That, or they figured out that they just hated the house they actually had, or who knows, right? So, but it was like a cocktail of all those things. And then I realized that I think my YouTube direction is a little bit more clear than my podcast direction. So I think with the YouTube, it will create more channels and a direction with my podcast. So that'll be this year that I really will crack down on it. But I just needed to like see where it was all going before I knew which way I wanted to take the podcast completely.
Well, one of the things that, I'm sure because you do kickboxing, but like I'm a big fan of the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yep.
Jiu-jitsu. But
yep.
But one of the things that I liked before he went to Spotify, because actually I haven't really listened since he went to Spotify, just because I can't get Spotify on my PlayStation 3. So, because it's old. But so like I'm not gonna, like I would have it on the TV while I was cleaning or cooking, prepping stuff. So if I can't do that, then I'm not gonna listen. But with the YouTube, I was doing, I use like a Premiere Pro to edit everything.
Yep.
And I figured out that like with this even though I've been bad for like doing it, but it's more of a storage thing. But anyway, if you download the video, you can separate out the audio.
Yep.
And then you upload that to Anchor, and then that puts it on Spotify and Apple and all that other shit. So this way you have the video version, and then you have, so that they kind of like feed each other. Because I actually like seeing the people when you have the conversation. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%. Yeah, I was the same with, once you moved to Spotify, I didn't tune in as much, even though I do have Spotify. I don't really tune in as much because I think part of the cool part of the podcast was like the authenticity of the dialogue and the conversation. And I think you lost a little bit of that with that part. But yeah, great idea. Just detach audio and upload, then hit all platforms, right?
Yeah, because for some reason, Joe Rogan can upload the video to Spotify. Like you could actually watch the video on Spotify. But I don't know how to do that for me. I think maybe you have to be a bigwig like him to have video. I don't know.
Maybe you have to have $100 million contract.
Yeah, maybe that
To
could be
have
it.
that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one series that I'm working on with my YouTube, the thing that the series that I'm working on right now is a kind of a food wars concept where I right now have a bracket challenge, basically of all the countries in the world. And I'm going to take a traditional dish from each country in the world and then battle them off, cook to the two countries, and then the winner moves on. And then I'll have a group of friends that I'll call judges to kind of pick and decide which dish moves on based on like an MMA style judging scorecard. So it'll be like a 10-9 round.
So it'd be like the first UFC ever where all the styles weren't like mixed martial arts and they were like traditional martial arts, and then they fought each other.
Exactly.
Like when that kickboxer kicked that sumo wrestler in the face and the tooth flew out.
Oh, that was classic.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Classic. Watch that on VHS.
yeah, right. That was like a long time ago, 97 or something like that. I think it was. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it way after it actually happened, but I remember because like people would, before the internet was big, like people would talk about the same fight for like years.
It's true. Yeah.
They just had to describe it to you. They couldn't show you.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't do anything. Like you couldn't watch highlights the same way. You couldn't do. Yeah, so you're talking about this, and then they'd only have maybe one or two cards a year at the beginning, or not even. I don't know. But now there's a card every weeknight, every Saturday night.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's true. But we had we had the UFC. Somebody had the VHS. That's how then we got to like borrow it. I don't know if my brother ever gave it back, but
I don't know if I actually watched it on VHS. I think I've just watched it now on I don't know, UFC Fight Pass or YouTube, right? Yeah, but I don't know. There's a lot more authenticity with the VHS. Jeez, that's funny. That is funny.
But that sounds good. But do you want to join? I just started a challenge, so everybody listening too. It's called the Nacho Bowl Challenge, and it's going from. I started it like right before the Super Bowl. I should have thought about it like way before the Super Bowl, to be honest with you, but I didn't. So I figured, March Madness is in March, and you could still eat nachos then. So like, go from Super Bowl to the end of March Madness, and that gives everybody enough time to do
That's a brilliant idea. You know how hard it is to plan in advance for things like that, like planning for the Super Bowl. I'm always last minute, like, I got to do a video on Christmas dinners or side dishes for Christmas, and then it's Christmas Eve, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. Who am I kidding? So
I'm always like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get out my calendar and I'm gonna mark when I should do this, and then I never do it.
I'm so garbage at it. But I will tell you, I'm super proud of myself because I did do the Hasselback potato for Potato Lover Day.
Which February I didn't even know was a day.
Oh, I thought about this for months in advance. I had this for months in advance, and I had that recorded weeks in advance. So, and I released it on the morning of National Potato Lovers Day. So I'm doing pretty good. I'm improving.
I think it was a good one. Did I miss? You know what I was upset about? National Pie Day is not on Pie Day.
What?
Like Pie Day should be on March 14th because it's 3/14, and it's not. It's on like some random day in April.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It pisses me off.
Yeah, we need to get that changed. We need to flip the script. Wow.
Yeah.
That is dumb.
Because it's also my mom's birthday, so I always joke and I go, "Happy Pie Day, Mom," and she's like, "It's my birthday too." Like, I'm gonna make you a pie instead of a birthday cake.
Funny.
She gets so mad.
That is funny. So you're doing this Nacho Bowl challenge.
Nacho Bowl challenge, and the idea is because I took part in a cocktail challenge. It was like a spicy cocktail challenge, and I met such a great community of like cocktail people. I actually had them on the podcast. It was the first time I did like more than one person. So it was And my internet went out then too. That was annoying.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on
nice.
with that. It's only when I do an interview.
Are you in rural Florida? Is
No,
it rural? No.
I'm in like the like West Palm Beach. It's like super rich people
Oh,
on the island, or like the people that work for them. So I'm like in
oh,
the people that work for them area.
nice,
So
nice.
so yeah.
So
So
you
I
should at
guess
least have their internet
I know
at
I
minimum.
gotta see if I could get their Wi-Fi signal. They must have something, like super strong. But
Oh,
it's just I don't know what it is. I think it's I don't know. It's just Florida. But
strange things happen in Florida.
yeah,
Strange place. We hear about it here in Canada too. The stereotype all the way
it's
10,000 kilometers north of here, 5,000 miles north. We hear about
real
it.
thing.
You
Real
guys
thing.
make the headlines here too. It's crazy.
It's really like a weird place. I don't know.
I would
I
tell you
miss New
though,
Jersey.
I would really, you do? I as a person that if I was to leave where I am now, I'd move somewhere in the States, I think, and it'd probably be a toss up between, uh, they're very similar, Florida and Idaho, very similar states.
All right, so Florida because it's cheap and the sunshine, but
Yeah,
why Idaho?
because it's identical to Alberta where I am now, and it's just kind of a blue collar state. A lot of good hunting, fishing, mountains. It's actually Coeur d'Alene, Idaho's from the city I'm in is only about 5 hour, 6 hour drive, so it's not that far.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
I gotta
very
get
very
better at
similar
geography.
topography, very similar. Elk hunting is incredible. So
Yeah, you do watch the Joe Rogan podcast.
listen, I'm not a. I want to clarify right now. I'm not a Joe Brogan. Okay,
A
I've
Joe
been
Rogan
elk. I am not a Joe Brogan. I am absolutely not a Joe Brogan. I've been elk hunting.
before him.
Oh, he didn't even know what elk wore when I was elk hunting. That guy. I'm offended. uh, I have to clarify this with people. Like I know they get, oh, I tell people I go hunting and then they go, oh, you watch Joe Rogan. I'm like, oh, I've been doing this since I was 12 years old. Okay. The
He
day I
watches
could
me.
pick. Yeah, he watches the Couch Cook. Actually, he was the 5th subscriber to my.
I know. When I saw him, he brought on like a chef or something. I was so mad when I was like, he gets to be friends with Anthony Bourdain. What the fuck?
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, he had Anthony Bourdain. He's
I
had
was like,
Stephen Ranella, like some
yeah.
good.
I'm like,
I know.
the Fear Factor
Maybe I
guy.
can do it. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm like. All right,
Yeah,
just
Fear
gotta.
Factor guy can do.
Fear Factor guy can do
I
it.
can
I could
do
do
it.
this. I could do this.
I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah, I totally hear you.
I never
So
thought of food as an art before, and I was just like, I
you're
was like,
like,
really?
that's all it is. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. No, but yeah, those two states. I like those states.
Idaho. But what about like Colorado?
Uh, I don't know.
No,
Something about Colorado. I don't know. Doesn't. Nah. No. It
sounds
might be
just
a little
like
bit too busy.
Canada.
I don't know. If the thing, yeah. If I was going to that like that kind of you know outdoors and mountains and stuff, I think I just do. I really like the town Coeur d'Alene in Idaho. I really 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 like that place. I spend a lot of time there when I can. So I think it's just my attachment to that town. So Montana,
Super.
I'd rather just go there than to down to. It's the same thing except it's further away from Canada. So
Well, you have to,
I think.
America, you have to figure out where weed is legal because you don't have that problem in Canada anymore.
No, we don't. We haven't for a while. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Leaps and
it's
bounds over here. We're leaps and bounds ahead of you over here.
I know. I'm like, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, that one's now there's like weed shops everywhere. Like you go to the
Like
dumbest little
liquor store.
town in rural Alberta, they got a gas station, a mechanic shop, and a weed store. You're like, whoa, wow, people really believe in it here.
Yep. Weed store and the liquor store. Down here it's medical. It's not recreational in Florida yet, which is really surprising because they could
Wow.
just make so much money off of it, you know? Like,
Oh,
because they don't
no
have
kidding.
like state income tax. So it's like you could get a lot out of the weed tax, you know, as a state.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. That's the nice, actually, no state income tax is nice. That's why a lot of athletes and good Canadian hockey players go to Tampa Bay because they don't have to pay. Their 9 million down there goes a lot further than their 9 million up here because they get taxed 50%
Yeah, but you get
up
like
here.
health insurance, so that helps a lot.
Oh, don't get me started, Grace.
Yeah, health insurance.
Don't get me started on that.
Mine
Don't
runs
get
out
me
in
started.
runs out when? And at the
Look,
end of this month.
I'll address that. I think I don't think Canada has it gets this reputation. I think a lot of Canadians are really happy with their with health insurance or the health care up here, but it's really not as convenient as it's made out to be. That's for sure. It's extremely expensive when you think about the tax rate. Like they say that 47 cents on the dollar you earn, 41 cents on the dollar of the taxes you pay, 47% goes to paying for healthcare here. And anything that needs like specialized care is like backlogged. You know, you need an MRI 8 months in advance. So then you end up paying for it out of your pocket anyways, so you could get the MRI sooner. So it's like it's
So you cut the
everywhere
line,
in the world.
like Britain.
Yeah, it's just not. I think when I think about it, I would rather have the option to just pay for it myself on the level of care that I need. I don't know.
It's so expensive. It's I think also the
Well,
problem is that you can't like everywhere else, like if you buy anything else, you know the price of it up front.
yeah.
But
I
you don't
I agree.
like how come I can't get the price of it before you give it to me and let me decide?
Totally. I
Because
think that needs to get sorted out ASAP.
then they could just charge the problem is they could charge whatever they want. That's the real
Yeah.
problem. Because there's no
Yeah. Who can?
competition. And it's
No
not like, you know,
competition.
I paid $200, like I was paying $200 a month and I'm only making, you know, a good month I was making $2,000 a month. So that's a huge part of my check. And then
Right.
that's just for the insurance. So then when you actually go to the doctor, you still have a copay. You still have to pay for your prescriptions. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, just a portion of it, but you've inflated the price so much that if you were just actually giving me the real price, it's probably the same price as my copay.
Totally.
You know?
The only thing that's really different than in Canada is that we have that's really nice is the emergency care, right? So you could go to the like break your arm and go to the hospital here, or have a baby. I hear sometimes in the States, you know, or some places in the States, if you want to have a C-section, it's like 50 grand or something like that, or 20
Yeah, to
grand.
have a baby naturally, it's like about $10,000
Yeah, you see, like,
when you're
no,
done.
that's we don't pay for that. Like we do pay for that, but we don't have to pay out of pocket for that
Yeah,
here in
but that's on
Canada.
top of, you know, like if you don't have insurance, like you're fucked. And then also, if the other thing people don't think about is like I don't want to pay for someone else's insurance, but like you also look at you look at the pandemic. If I'm like I'm gonna run out of insurance, I went at the start of the pandemic to the hospital because I had just come in from Thailand, which had
Yeah.
the, you know, most amount of cases and I didn't feel good. And I was mainly going because I was working another job teaching people how to cook and I knew they were mostly older people. So it's like,
Yeah.
if I have coronavirus, I could kill all these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I got charged $300 for them to be incompetent and actually wound up like not even giving me a coronavirus test because they didn't have anything set up yet because it was so
Wow.
early for the United States.
Wow. That's
So,
crazy.
but anyone else who didn't have $300 to go to the emergency room, which not that I did, but I was like, I felt as if I didn't really have a choice, you know, like I have
Oh
to
yeah.
do my duty to the society. But other people don't think like that, and they'll just get everybody else sick.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
by putting that in, then you make it like, oh, okay, I can go to the doctor if I don't feel good, and that's gonna save everyone else money because you're not spreading germs, you're not killing everybody.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely better ways around it for sure. For sure. But that, yeah, it seems a little bit reckless. I had just had to pay for 2 COVID tests because I was supposed to go to Wyoming on tomorrow. I was supposed to go. I just had to cancel that because we just changed our quarantine
Can you
orders
go?
coming back into Canada.
Yeah.
Like coming back into Canada now, the dumbest thing ever. Now it's mandatory isolation in a government facility at your cost, but at their price. So it's $2,000 for 3 days of mandatory isolation if you don't test positive. And if you test positive, it's like $400 a day until you're released from the facility.
That sounds like the American insurance system.
Well, it's crazy. So I paid for these 2 tests. I forgot to cancel, or I canceled my trip on Sunday, and I was supposed to go for my COVID test on Monday, and because it wasn't like 24 hours advance notice to cancel, I had to pay $210 to just. I just had to forfeit $210 for the COVID test.
Yeah, that
So
sounds
like, wow.
yeah, sounds about right. You're American now.
Well,
Congratulations.
yeah, exactly. Congratulations to your green card.
Except
Welcome
you
to the
would
party.
the only difference in America is you wouldn't find out immediately that it was $210, but you'd get a bill in the mail like 2 months from now.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, right. Perfect. Even better. That's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, what do you do, right? What do you do?
So anyway, back to this
Yeah, nacho
challenge
challenge.
of the cuisines. Actually,
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
I'd like to recommend a dish for it because
Okay.
I never I have a video on it. My friend Oscar taught it to me. It's called
Okay.
ají de gallina.
Do you know how to spell that?
Yep, it took me a long time to learn how to pronounce it.
Okay. You did pretty good. I was like, oh, okay. She must
So it's
be.
ají is AJI with the little accent mark on top of the
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
and then de de,
GE. Yep.
and then gallina is GALLINA, I believe. But that means it means pepper of the hen.
Okay. And this must be like Colombia or
Peru.
Peru, culinary epicenter of the world these days.
Yeah. So he was
Crazy what they've
telling
done.
me that I forget like the details of the story. He's gonna be like, Grace. But basically there was some sort of competition, like food competition in Japan.
Yeah.
And somebody made this dish and it won the whole thing.
That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for, those dishes. That's what we're trying to find. So, okay, who do I have against Peru? Where did my bracket go? Who's the first round versus Peru? I got to find this. I thought it was a good one too. Where did I put it? Oh, okay. I might have to get back to you on that. Oh, typical office. Ah, darn it.
What countries do you have in there?
Every one of them. Every
Everyone.
single one of them. Every single one of them. 197 countries. Bracketed off. So my idea is to get an Airbnb for a couple of weeks, just set up shop in it, and like spend day and night cooking off these dishes and then try to do at least like 50 total countries, so 25 episodes. And I'll just like mass edit, mass publish, like, so that way it doesn't take 5 years to find the winner. It takes like maybe a whole year. It's a big one.
That is a big one.
But this might get us to that Jake Paul level where I can get to that boy's neck. Throttle him around a little bit.
I mean, I think you need to just call him out more. Like, I think calling out is going to get you more engagement. You know what I mean?
True that.
Even if it's people telling you to go fuck yourself, like, it's more engagement. You know what I mean?
It's true that. It's a little disruption.
Even in the nacho bowl, like, it's more like with the nacho bowl challenge, like, it's more engagement, because the one thing that like the cocktail people, they're kind of like too nice. There's a lot of Canadians in there, you know.
Yeah.
but there's no winner in the cocktail challenge that they did. It's basically like a playlist of all the cocktails of the same thing. So for mine, like, the person who gets the most like likes and comments, like, obviously you can't like comment like a million on the same thing of the same person, just making, you know, like, none of that dumb shit. But, you know, the people that get the most likes and comments, like, they win. But in reality, if you think about it, everybody wins, because if you have people engaging on your video, if you're increasing engagement on your video, the algorithm's going to like you more. And then you're also going to meet more people, because one of the rules is you can't like and comment on your own video, but you have to like and comment on someone else's video. So you have to go and watch the other videos in the challenge.
That's great. I like that.
You get to meet people, you know, because that was the most fun about the whole cocktail thing, is you got to meet people in the community, you know?
Totally. Yeah. That's one thing I haven't been able to do much, is meet a whole lot of people in the community yet. Like, I got pretty decent following, but a lot of them are outside of the community. They're like spectators, but not like community members. But, you know, community members will help you. Like, they'll help you grow. They'll get you growing.
Yeah, because there's no reason for me to like be like, I feel like in like the traditional sense, you know, I would think of you as my competition, you know, because you're also a chef doing food content. But if you think about it, like, just because someone likes my content and wants to watch it doesn't mean they're not going to want to watch your content too, you know?
Totally. Like, we're obviously in the same field, so it would only make, well, actually you see it with the big companies on YouTube right now, like Bon Appetit, how they cross promote with, you know, their chefs with like Babish or whatever his name is, and Joshua Wiseman and Alvin, whatever his name is too. Like, all those, as you can see, I'm very, very into it.
That's about
all these, whatever their names are.
Yeah, that's what I know. I know Joshua Wiseman. I know the Babish guy because I think everybody knows him.
I can't figure that one out. I don't understand his. I'm gonna do a little bit of chirping here, but I don't understand his like rise to his celebrity.
I think like, because he was the first one doing it.
Was he? I mean, I don't know how long he's been.
Yeah,
I don't know
I think he was the first one doing the thing with the, like, not showing your face and just doing.
Oh, and then the voiceover.
Yeah, so I think that's it. I think a lot of it, like, I don't think Joe Rogan would be the best, you know, the #1 podcast in the world if he wasn't the first one in, because the algorithm had nothing else to promote.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's
okay,
like,
well,
how
I guess
much
that makes sense.
Can you get?
But like, Joe Rogan's incredibly interesting, and he's got like incredible content and a lot of great.
Well, people. Now he does, but if you see his beginning stuff, it's just him smoking pot and fucking around, you know?
With Redban or whatever that guy's name is.
So back in those days, like, you know.
True that. Good point. I guess, yeah, I just never really understood his thing. I don't find him talented, like super easy to watch. Like I find it
Me
hard to
neither.
listen to him. Like I find it, and I don't think he's a good cook. Like,
Yeah,
but he's,
no,
you know, he's
but
got
he's
it to
doing
him,
great. So
and
that's
he's
another
doing
thing though.
great.
I see it and I'm like, well, if he could do it.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's it. Good for him. Good for him.
I
But
really like Joshua Wiseman. I like
I
his
think he's probably the best of the guys that are out there on that kind of level and scale. I think he's got a good mix of it all, and I think he's actually pretty talented too.
and I see
Personally,
but whenever I watch him, I'm like, I could see that you grew up with Good Eats, man. Like the Alton Brown influence is like huge with the in the
yeah,
cabinet and shit. And I'm like,
totally,
I
totally,
like it.
yeah,
I used to watch that like, you know, like 4 a.m. Like when I couldn't like sleep as a kid, I would just watch. It was Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives would come on, and then Good Eats would
hilarious,
come on.
hilarious. I never ever got into food shows. I was always like, yeah, I've been all out, you know, growing up in the cooking industry. I don't think I've watched 20 minutes of a cooking show in my entire life until recently. And now I just do it to like get ideas and inspiration and try to figure out camera angles because I'm doing all this on my own and this is all brand new to me. And so like I feel like that's how you learn, like see what others are doing, see what would work for you, try a couple things. But you can definitely tell. The one show I have seen is Good Eats, and you could definitely tell he's got some inspiration from that guy from Elton Brown for
But
sure.
speaking of camera angles and stuff, my YouTube friend Philip Lemoyne, he has his own channel, but he specializes in he does like cooking videos, but he's
I know
actually
Philip Lemoyne. Yeah, I know who he is.
yeah, he
Yeah,
was on
yeah,
the podcast
yeah. I saw
a
that
little while
too.
ago.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's got some good stuff on there.
he's a stud.
Um
Like he's good. He's good. He's good. I like him. Not
he's
I'm not
good.
flirting with you, Philip. If he's watching this,
I know.
I'm not trying to flirt with you. Okay, settle down. uh,
I was gonna say something else about the camera stuff, but I forgot now.
no, but yes, he's good. He's super good with his camera angles. That's why I watched his YouTube series before I even started making YouTube videos on how to make YouTube videos for food YouTube videos. And yeah, like, and he was the only guy that was super clear about it in a way that I think anybody could do it. Right. I think he by far is the best. Like if you just want to get started and going, he made it so clear and easy for me to think, okay, this is how I could get started. And then from there, you know, over time, I'm sure I'll be able to improve on that. But yeah, he's really good. I like that guy.
That's what I was gonna say. So when I first heard the couch cook, immediately what I thought about was so like I can't watch like like the only sport I really watch is like UFC from time to time.
Yep.
You know? And like I'm sure you're like me where like you're like, go for the triangle, like you're shouting at the TV. And the same thing with like Chopped and stuff now. Like I can't watch it. It gives me too much agita. Like I'm like, what is he doing? Like every time they crystallize a caramel, I'm like, why are you stirring it?
Yeah.
But I
That
can't
is
watch it.
that's 150% where the name came from. It's not even a joke. That's exactly entirely 100% where it came from. That's exactly how I came up with the name. That's exactly how I came up with the name. Exact watching. I don't think it was a UFC fight, but I think it was watching a hockey game, and I was chirping away, and then my wife was rolling her eyes, and then I switched it over to a cooking show right after, and I continued on, and then she said, like, "What are you, like, a couch cook?" And I was like, "I am the couch. I am the couch. I am the couch cook. That's me." And it was an epiphany and realization. And that's how it started. That's exactly how it started. Yeah.
That's so funny. It's such a great name. It drives me
Yeah.
nuts. I can't watch Chopped and stuff like that because
No,
of
I
that.
can't. I can't. The funny thing is I've done quite a few cooking competitions,
Yeah.
and they're not like my cup of tea. Like high, you know, I really am more so of I guess like perfectionist, I guess, with food. And so like, you know, the rush aspect and just throwing things like, oh, what can you come up with on a whim? It just doesn't appeal to me. It's just not how I'm the level of, I'll sure talk a whole lot of shit about those guys, but I'm not much better. Like I'm not, I could compete. Like, yes, I can compete and cook and compete and win, but it's not what I like to do.
Yeah, it's
It's just,
not worth the, like,
yeah,
I
it's
think,
chaotic.
like right now, I think I would do one just so I could get like exposure for this stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
But I
And
wouldn't.
I wouldn't just like head to head battles, like 20 minutes and make a dish out of crickets and chocolate and peanuts. It's like that's pretty easy one to do, but like, you know what I mean? It's like sometimes these ones like on Chopped, my friend was on Chopped not a couple years ago, and I was like, man, I would hate, that's one I would hate to do
I don't know, because like I know
myself.
with like Iron Chef, I know a couple of people that have been on Iron Chef, and instead of like they don't just like there's a secret ingredient, but it's not as secret as you would think it is.
I think
Like,
they well, they give you like five options that it might be,
yeah, like scenarios
right?
that might happen, and it's one of them. So you have to
Yeah,
prep for all of them, and then you have to go.
yeah.
Which is, but with Chopped, is it the same thing, or
No, no,
no?
that one's a lot more random. Yeah,
All right,
yeah. Chopped is a lot more random. Yeah,
because I
but
would,
not.
because I think the stress of just like you have this much time, like that probably makes your brain go like, you know?
Yeah, it's just like you know, and just you just know it's not. It's just not as good as what it could be. So like
Yeah,
as a chef, like, and as someone that
you're serving something,
has
you're
worked,
like not
yeah,
that
you know,
proud of.
yeah, I'm trained Michelin star restaurants and stuff. Like, how the heck am I supposed to serve something I know I'm not happy with, right?
Yeah.
So like you're questioning that while you're cooking, and yeah, I've had that happen. I did a. Do you have the Shane de Roseurs down in the States? The Shane, no, Chaine, the Shane de Roseurs.
I don't think so. I
It's
don't know what that is.
it's a world it's a worldwide thing, but it's like it's an old school. It's like a Freemason club of chefs, I guess.
Oh,
And they
okay.
had this one for junior cooks. Like, and I was young. I was really young at the time. I was probably, I don't know, 18 or something like that. And that one was a complete black box. So it was like lobster and a whole bunch of other things. And man, I just couldn't like I couldn't put it together. You know, I wasn't happy with. So I was just not even. I didn't even put out a dessert because I'm like, oh yeah, I can't. If I can't get this crumble right, then I'm not even gonna put it on the plate. And I'm like, I realized I should have just put things on. You know, I should just put it
Yeah.
together, right? So I don't know. Maybe it's because I was also young when I was doing those competitions. That a lack of
Well, when
maturity.
you start, like I did, I mean, I did, technically I did two, but it was like the same event, but I was in two different categories. And I did
Mm,
the warm plated dessert category. So I did a Parisian apple tart with, I don't know if I did an ice cream with it. I don't know what I did with that. But I remember going in and practicing for it. And they judged you on like the cleanliness of your station, but also you
yeah.
had to have like recycling, compost, trash or whatever.
Yep.
And then um but there was just so many things that were like they were looking for that unless you did one of the competitions before, you would
Yeah.
have no idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I felt like a lot of it was like personal preference of like the judges, you know?
Oh,
And I was
exactly
just
what
like,
it is.
well, I mean, I executed the technique correct, you know? And then my other thing was a sugar sculpture competition. And it's not even a competition. And it's more like a grading system. Like you could have like
Yeah.
10 gold medals But so the warm plated dessert, I got a bronze medal, but but I was also the only one competing in that category. So it's like a rubric. It's not like a actual competition,
Right.
like where
I
you're
get it.
versus somebody. So I thought that was weird because going into it, I didn't know that either. So
Right.
then I did the sugar sculpture part, and we had like I did everything at the college, and we had like 3 kitchens. We had a pastry kitchen. We had this really slender room called the chocolate room that was like air conditioned, so everything
Yeah.
would stay nice. And then we had a culinary kitchen, and there was like doors connecting to the middle, to the chocolate room.
Yeah.
So I was working on this sugar sculpture all week. I made my last name is for NASA, but it's spelled like for NASA, like the space station. So I always love space because it's like my last name.
Yeah.
So I made like this rocket ship out of sugar, and I made like this whole background with like molten, like I did like this orange, like going into this like navy blue, so it looked like the sun and stuff. It was really cool. So I just made this sugar sculpture. I put it in the chocolate room. I'm like, no, I'm not going to move it tonight because it's nice and air conditioned in here, and I don't want the sugar to get sticky, and then it'll crumble. So I left for the evening or whatever, and then there was a culinary class in the kitchen next door, and they got hot, so they decided to open the door to try to steal the air conditioning from the chocolate room. And my sugar sculpture wound up sweating and sticking to the counter. So the next morning, I went to go move the showpiece to the showpiece area, and it stuck just enough where it rocked, and the whole thing shattered. And I went and I took like 10 minutes. I took a deep breath. My chef was like just looking at me like, oh my God, like you can see like how bad he felt for me.
I feel bad for you. This was probably a few years ago.
Oh my God, it was it was like 7 or 8 years ago now. But then I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh my gosh, that is
so I swept
brutal.
it up. Oh my God, and I put together all my like practice pieces in like 10 minutes, but they were just kind of like, thank you for participating.
That's so sad. That's devastating. That sucks. Oh man.
But I was like, whatever.
Screw competitions.
I mean, I had fun, but I would have had more fun if it was like actually against other people.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I was like, my whole cooking career, I was young and I was just so immature that I think that's what was like my downfall.
So how did you get into it?
Yeah, just I was homeschooled.
Okay.
Like all my life. And I like to cook like when I was at home and whatnot, but because I was homeschooled, I was able to get a job when I was very young, and I ended up just being full time and then doing school either before or after work. So I was 14 and I just got a dishwashing job. This typical story, right? Dishwashing. I hated washing dishes, so I'd stay after, or like I just power through the dishes, and then I would just jump on the line and help guys on whatever station. Actually, because the dish pit was like right beside the grill, it was like right here, dish pit, grill. I would just naturally help the grill guy on the grill station. And this restaurant is actually, I think there's one in Miami now. It's Earl's. Does that sound familiar? Do you have one? I think they just opened one there.
It's probably there, but like I still don't know anything about Florida.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
But
it's a big franchise. It's nothing special, but it's a big franchise restaurant. And then so I would just, next thing you know, I'm helping him cook steaks, and I'm only 14 years old, just this little. And I was like, I wasn't those 14-year-olds that like, I stopped growing at 14. I hadn't even come close. Not even, I was years away from coming close to starting to grow. I was one of those 14-year-olds. So, so, and then, the next thing I'm helping him set up burger buns, and then I'm flipping the burgers, and then I'm cooking the salmon, and then making the chicken for the souvlaki like wraps or whatever. And then I'm helping him grill. And then I realized, wow, I'm actually pretty good at this thing. I had a feel for it, and I was pretty organized, and and then the next thing I'm a full-time, I was moved from the dish pit to the grill. And I actually, usually most people work from, appetizer, like the cold station up the line, but I actually worked down the line. And then after like maybe a few months, I told my mom that I wanted to, we have what's called the registered apprenticeship program in Canada, in Alberta. And I told my mom I wanted to do because it's trade school, cooking, like the getting your red seal journeyman is a trade school option here. And so I told my mom, like, I'd like to do a student for the day program at the college and see if I want to do it. And then I ended up going to the program, and then the dean of that department was a Swiss fella, and my family's Swiss, we're Swiss. And then I told him, yeah, this is what I want to do. I'm pretty sure. And then he put me in contact with the Swiss chef at the Hyatt, the Hyatt hotels here. That one. I know that one. Yeah. So he put me in touch with the Swiss chef at the Hyatt. I went for an interview, and then I was a cook there in the banquet kitchen. And I think it was a little bit of the connection and just my enthusiasm. But I was the youngest. I don't know if it's still to this day, but I was the youngest employee ever in the world for the Hyatt chain. That was the first exception for hiring someone under the age of 18 in any of their departments and any of their hotels in the world. And I was 15. Awesome. I think I was close, maybe coming up on 16, but I was 15 when I got hired as a cook. And then they put me in a banquet kitchen, so I had lots of, the banquet's just such a great area to learn and develop like knife skills and learn how to season food, and equipment works, deep fryer. If there's that kind of like leniency in a banquet kitchen, there's more cooks to kind of overshadow. But nothing gets your knife skills improved quickly than peeling 500 melons a day and, dicing 20 pounds of peppers and, all those little fundamentals that if you start out in a kitchen, or even starting, like if you're just going straight into culinary school, could be overwhelming. Like all these little things that you think you're just going to go learn how to cook, and you're making, hollandaise on day one or whatever. But, you're given an opportunity to learn like from the ground up. And I was young and, like a sponge at that age, super young like that. And I was able to learn and develop very quickly with my cooking ability. And then I told my soul, that was it. Then I dropped out of school and then enrolled in the apprenticeship. I got my red seal by the time I was 19. I actually was 18 when I finished the school, but then wrote my exam when I was 19.
Red seal is something that's Canadian.
It's the equivalent to your degree. It's the equivalent to your degree. Yeah, to a degree.
But for a craftsman? Do it. Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like what would you call an electrician? Like a qualified electrician in the States?
An electrician.
Like what do you
their degree would be
you call them that one?
It's usually just like so one thing that I think America needs to like get their game up on is like apprenticeship programs, because we have both tech schools in the States, but like even my like in high school wanting to be a chef and everything, if you went to vocational schools, VOTech, but you were like a bad kid that couldn't cut it in regular school.
Okay. So that's the same thing.
Yeah, but they didn't have, there's no like seal or anything. It's just like a certificate program. So like,
right. So I guess the red seal, the journeyman and red seal certificate that we get is the diploma, right? It's not a degree. Okay. It's not it's not a bachelor's degree or anything like that, but it's a diploma, I would say, of certification.
Diploma is still better than a certificate.
Yeah, it's
You
not a
know?
certificate. Yeah, it's not a certificate. It's like it's definitely a step up from certificate.
Yeah. So they just have
Yeah.
like a certificate program. I mean, I'm sure you could go more in depth, but like even the
Like, what do
VOTEC
you get
schools
if
are
you?
all private. They're so expensive.
Right. Oh, really? Hey. Yeah,
I
we get
mean,
paid. We get paid to go to. I got paid to go to school, but the Hyatt paid for my school, and
that's
they paid me
awesome.
while I was in school. I was still working, so they paid for it each semester, all 3 years, and then on top of that, I still pick up shifts and still work. I never missed a paycheck in all my school years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, nobody goes into cooking for the money, and if you do, you're a stupid idiot. You're
Yeah, you
about to
should
get
just
really
go into
disappointed.
that's why I left, because I was like, I'm never gonna make enough money to open my own place just
No,
cooking. I
no,
was like, I
I
might as
mean,
well see the world.
right? Exactly. Might as
Yeah,
well see the world and make no money.
yeah, exactly. Uh,
um, well, I did get to do that too, though, right? I did get like I don't regret anything about my career in cooking. I got to travel the world and work in Europe and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, it gave me a lot. But you don't do cooking for money. That's just not what you do.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know where I was going with it all, but yeah, the only thing, like, I had all the talent and the potential and the skill and all that kind of stuff, but my maturity always held me back. Like, I got a head chef position coming back when I came back to Canada, and I was only 22, right? And at that time, that's young. Like, nowadays, you could kind of see those kids develop nowadays, some parts of the world, specifically in Europe, because they have those development programs when you're really young. And like in Switzerland, you graduate high school when you're 15 and you go straight into trade school for 2 years. And then and your trade could be anything. Like, if you want to be a doctor, or if you want to be a financial advisor or whatever, they put you in an apprenticeship that correlates with that long-term goal. So, and then if you complete your apprenticeship in good standing and all that stuff, so you're earning money again while you're doing this, they pay for your education, your post-secondary education, or parts of it anyways. So the development of these youth it's with post-secondary is, I thought I was an anomaly in the world when I went to Europe, right? Like, oh, this 19-year-old kid with this degree, with all this experience. It was so normal when I was there. I was like, nothing that special then. And then yeah, and then they do that, right? So, and we don't have that same kind of development here. But yeah, I was young when I came back, and I just couldn't be bothered with the things that you need maturity to deal with. And then I left the industry. That was pretty much it. Left just like that.
Well, I think a
And
lot
then
of people don't realize that a chef position is pretty, like, it has very little to do with cooking and a lot to do with cost control and
yep,
managing other people, really. Like, to
yep,
be a
exactly.
real chef, like to be a chef, especially at a place like the Hyatt, like how many times is the executive chef actually like cooking in the kitchen?
Oh
Like,
yeah, well, never over the like never. They're not. Yeah, they wear the stupid hat, run around,
yeah, yell at people, tell
and
people how
yell
to
at
do
some
it.
people. Yeah, and then you'll see them like in the kitchen once a month, but most of the time they're not there. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Sometimes they
Yeah,
get to develop recipes, but sometimes they're just stealing them from their sous chef.
or if depending on how old that chef is, he's just copying it out of the Cordon Bleu book or something. Nothing even, like, literally just Googling recipes. That's what I remember from some of my Hyatt chefs. These guys sucked. As far as like professional chefs go, they suck. Wow. Love you guys if you're watching. Thanks for all your help.
Thanks for all your help. But yeah,
Shane, there goes Shane burning his bridges again.
there he goes. But you know, Now you just gotta apply that to Logan Paul, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's gonna get it. I'm telling you, he's not getting off scot-free. No way.
No, but yeah, but I'm sure he can afford the best training now with his YouTube money.
Yeah, he could afford the best training. I got my team. Whew, we're pretty good.
Pretty good.
We're pretty good. Yeah, my coach was actually supposed to fight in Wyoming this weekend. That's why I was supposed to go to corner him at the fight there. And the promotion that he fights for is just got signed by the UFC on UFC Fight Pass. So Lion Fight, it's the Muay Thai division.
Okay.
So
yeah,
he was supposed to, and he's like he's an upcoming star for that promotion. He's been wiping guys dead in all of his fights. 4 fights with that, or 3 or 4 fights with that company in the last year, and all like brutal KOs in the first round or two. So yeah, he's caught a lot of hype, and the UFC just published a big article on him last week because not to make this, I don't know if you watch this, his name's Jake Peacock, and
Peacock?
he has
like
Peacock bird? like the bird.
That's
and
awesome.
there's he's special because he like what makes him like the draw, not that he is special, but what makes him special is that he does have only one hand. So it's just so much more impressive, right? That
does he have like a nub that he fights with or something?
Exactly. It's like off at an elbow kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So he gloves
That's
it.
a hard
still.
elbow.
Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know. I think a lot of people don't think that thing thumps, but I've seen
an elbow
stars
is like it does way more damage than a fist. Like,
yep.
Especially as like a smaller person, like I would definitely, I definitely have more power with getting like a bigger guy away from me if I get the elbow or the
100%.
knee,
If you're in close quarters and whatnot, those elbows will. I think even sometimes just like if an elbow cuts you and you've never been cut before, you just don't even know how to react, right? Like it's just even if you're the biggest, toughest guy in the world and your eyebrow gets split open and next thing you know you can't see because you're just gonna like, if it's a self-defense situation, he's gonna just like let off because he just doesn't know how to react, right? You literally have to be trained to know how to respond to getting rocked. Like that's part of training, right?
Yeah.
And so for self-defense, you just have to know what can hurt someone, like what will make people go, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to.
Also, like I really like jujitsu for women because it shows you how to manipulate someone bigger than you's body weight, and it's so important. And
yeah, I do jujitsu too. Not the same level that I do just striking, but you'll have these little guys that can tangle you up pretty easily, even if you outweigh them. So I think if a girl's trained in jujitsu, she has a very, very, very high chance of getting out of a bad situation against someone that's trying to advance on her that isn't trained. I think there's a little bit of a difference. Like if you're equally trained and there's a man that's 100 pounds heavier than the girl, there's just obviously a physical disadvantage to that. But a girl that's trained versus a guy that's not trained and that has no idea what's coming, and next thing you know, he's in a heel hook. The guy's not going to know what happened. He's next thing you know, he's in a triangle. What does he think? He's just going to stand up and get out of it? Right? Like it's so. There's, I think jujitsu might be the most effective self-defense art for women.
Yeah.
Especially when talking on the street.
Yeah. Especially if you're just trying to run away. Like enough to like get it so you can like
get yourself space
or run away,
Or just get some space to run away. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, it's about like just making people panic, right? It's the reason why like grizzly bears here in Canada don't go after, like, you put all your cows on a range that has a bunch of grizzly bears and they never get touched. And the reason why is just because like a grizzly bear might go to attack a cow and then it'll just get hoofed once. And then it'll be like, oh, I'll just go get a deer or something that doesn't cause me like that kind of risk. I'll just go for a weaker like meal.
I would never
right?
think a cow would be able to scare off a bear.
Now a cow, a cow, yes. A calf, maybe not so much, like a baby cow, right? But a cow, yeah, absolutely. Like you put them in grizzly infested land, and you'll
How
see
big is a
you'll
cow compared to a grizzly bear? Because cows are bigger
comparable.
than most people think.
Oh yeah, I mean a cow, like weight wise, they're probably double that of a grizzly bear, right? They
Really?
get, yeah, for sure. Like a grizzly bear is probably, a big grizzly is probably 900 pounds. Big
Okay.
cow is, yeah, 1800 pounds probably.
I've never seen a grizzly bear, so in real life, so I have nothing,
It's not fun.
can't compare it.
It's not fun. Tell you that much. Not even
Does it
seeing them
really
at a
work? Or
distance.
you have to get big or something? Or that's a bunch of
Well,
bullshit.
I've never been charged. Thank God. Like I just don't even know how I'd react. If you kill a grizzly bear in Canada, we don't have, number one, we don't have the same self-defense laws in Canada. We're Canadians. We're a bunch of wimps. Okay, I'll tell you that much. I think we're nice. Yeah, we're lucky we're not the 51st state of the United States of America. Like in a blink of an eye, we could become the 51st state. Because so, anyways, back to the grizzly, back to the grizzly bear scenario. Like here in Canada, you can't have a sidearm when you're hunting. You can't. We're not allowed to have handguns, right? Unless you're only going to like a designated licensed firearm range, and then even to transport that, you have to technically call in the police station to let them know, hey, I'm transferring the handgun from my house to the shooting center, right? So to go out in the bush and we have grizzlies everywhere here. You only rely on a primary weapon. Like if you're bow hunting, then your bow. But if you're rifle hunting, then a rifle that isn't necessarily like the best tool for like a self-defense situation, right? A scope and a grizzly bear running at you to see it in a scope is very hard to do. So bear spray, that's kind of what we rely on. And
so like
I
pepper
just kind of,
spray?
yeah, pepper spray, right? That's it. And yeah, because we can't have the sidearms.
Wouldn't that just make the bear annoyed and want to kill you more?
I guess it's been pretty effective. Like I have a young real estate client that got charged by one on a hike a couple years ago. She was by herself, and she's tiny, like 5'1", thin, and she was out by herself, and she got charged by a grizzly bear on the trailhead, and she pepper sprayed it, and she's like, it hit the dirt, but like in the commotion of it all, it kind of like it's rolling its head in the dirt, trying to like wipe his eyes out, and then she was able to like jump over it because like they spun around. Like it was a one-way trail, right? And he was in her way. Once they spun around, she wanted to turn back.
Oh, it froze. It froze, Shane. You froze. Right at the best part of the story.
To get to. Uh-oh. There, I got you.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh no.
Okay.
Man.
Did you?
Oh. It's breaking up. Hold on. Let me see if my internet's back up. 1 second. No. It's not. No. How do I? Oh, there you are.
No? That work?
It's working.
Wow. Okay, good.
Okay.
So where was I? What did you miss? Where did I stop?
So the trail was one way.
Right. So yeah, in the commotion of it all, they kind of spun around, right? So she ended up on the other side of where her car would be, and the grizzly bear ended up on the side of where her car would be, right? So she wanted to get back to her car. And while this grizzly bear is rolling around in the dirt, trying to like wipe its face, apparently, with out of the pepper spray, she had to jump on it to get over it, to get back onto the other side of the trail to get back to her car. So I mean, pepper spray saved her life there, you know. in fairness. And then I was out camping a few years ago, 2015, I think it was. And there was a guy dirt biking on a trailhead coming down into our campsite. And we saw a grizzly bear with we saw two cubs cross the trailhead. And we could hear him coming at this point on a dirt bike, but he couldn't see because he's coming up a hill and she was on the underside of the crest of the hill. So we hear him not slowing down or anything, and we see two cubs cross the trailhead. We didn't see mom yet. So as he crests the hill, she's right there, boom, right there as she steps out onto the trailhead. And then she mauls him. She grabbed him and she launched him into space, and he hit the ground and his helmet shattered, all this stuff. And then his father, or it was a coworker, older guy, but it was a coworker that came up behind him on a quad, had a bear sprayed this grizzly, and she left. But
Did
the
the guy
dude got
die?
mauled. No. But
He hit his head,
yeah.
his helmet shattered?
Yeah, he got airlifted. He got messed up pretty bad, but he survived.
Is he like brain damaged now?
No, funny story about that actually is years later, so like only a few months ago or last year or something like that, I was doing an open house, and this guy, it was similar time of year, right? September. This guy comes into the open house. He's a home inspector trying to like solicit me as, hey, I'm a home inspector, take my card if you ever need my help or something. And he's like, so what are you doing this weekend? And I said, well, I'm going camping after I'm done this. And he says, oh, you won't see me out in the bush anymore. I said, no, why not? And he's like, oh, I had a bad run-in with a grizzly bear a couple of years ago. I said, no way, really? And he's like, yeah, my buddy got mauled off his dirt bike, and luckily I was there. I'm like, oh yeah, that happened to be that week. I said the weekend. It was like September 17th or something like that. I remember, or whatever, like September long weekend. Oh yeah, that's what it was here in Canada. September long weekend. And he's like, yeah, I'm on the burnt timber road. He's like, yeah, like, dude, we were the campers at the campsite. And then he's like, no way, that's crazy. Small world thing. And he's like, yeah, no, he's fine now and all this kind of stuff, but you won't see us in the bush anymore. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah, crazy. I know that's cooking related, but
it is cooking related. It's all cooking related.
Yeah, it's cooking related because I said so.
Because the bear's got to eat, right?
Yeah, because the bear's got to eat. Food, cooking related. Tartar, yep. Human tartar, baby. That's what we're talking about here. Oh, it's good stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten a bear? Do people eat bears?
Oh yeah. Black bears specifically. Yeah, they're really good eating.
What do they taste like?
They're really good eating. Kind of a lot like pork. Yeah, they're part of that family, I think. Yeah, this is very similar to pork. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pigs and bears?
Well, I don't know if they're like hogs, but they're, I think like with their vegetation and how they eat, like they eat like whatever's available. Yeah, they have a flank. Yeah. It's not the same. And their like anatomy is really weird. It's actually kind of human-esque. Like when you skin it, you're like, am I looking at a skinned human? It's kind of weird. It's kind of off-putting a little bit. They got really skinny hind legs, but you don't really know that because, their fur and they're so like bloop, 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 frumpy and whatnot. And then you skin the thing and it's got these like, they look like your legs. And you're like, what the heck? That's weird. If you cut the paws off, you think it's like a human for sure.
Whoa.
Yeah. But flavor wise and like how the meat develops and tastes, it's very similar to pork. Yeah.
That's really
really good. It's really good eating. Like a lot of the times, like the law in Canada or Alberta, I should say, is that with bears, the only thing you have to save is its fur. You can't just let the fur go to waste. But all other game, it's opposite. I guess fur-bearing animals. So lynx, bobcats, martens, all those animals, cougars, Those are fur bearing animals. So you have to keep the fur, but you can discard the meat. Like you could just throw it out in the garbage. With all other game meat, you have to keep the meat and you can discard the rest. So a lot of hunters will just hunt them for the fur aspect and hides, and I'll get like, I'll just tell whoever's hunting them, hey, just send me the meat. I'll deal with it. No problem. And yeah, it's great. There was a little bit of concern back in the day about trichinosis. Same thing with pigs, right?
Yeah.
And there is a little bit more so with it being wild and, not a controlled, or they're not tested and whatnot. So I generally, if I cook it, I don't make like bear steaks or anything like that. Everything that I make with them, I make sure that it's like pasteurized to the gills,
Something
so
that's been stewing for hours and hours and hours.
Stews, curries. I'll make, like, I will do a pastrami or like corned bear, like out of the back hindquarters. It's very good.
And
for
people who don't know what trichinosis is, it's like a parasite. It's like a worm, right?
Yep. Tapeworm.
Yeah, and if you eat it, then you can also have worms.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
it's kind of like, honestly, I'd be more concerned about eating fish than I am about eating bear.
Yeah, I've seen some
for the worm aspect. I know
some worms come out of like a tuna and stuff. If you Google that shit, it's
and I'm terrified of worms. I'm terrified of worms. Like I'm not just disgusted by them. I'm scared and terrified and disgusted by them. So if I see something with worms in it, I'm not ever touching that again. Most likely, like ever again. Don't want.
The only worms I like are like the earthworms in my garden.
Don't even like those guys.
But like the worms
I know that.
They're not.
It's like hell no. No.
Like the first time I saw a worm in like a big thing of tuna, I was like, it took me a long time to eat tuna again. But with the pork, pork is at least in the United States, they treat it with like radiation, so it kills all the parasites.
I don't think we do that here. I don't think we do that. I hope we don't do that. That sounds disgusting.
At least I know they do that in like the big factory farms. I'm not sure about, or maybe that's what they started doing, I think, in the 50s. I don't know if they probably evolved to some sort of like chemical or something hormone or whatever, but you can find
I'm not concerned about it.
Like good farms in America now. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I always try to seek out the local farms and like people that are doing it the right way rather than give my dollar to the factory farm,
100%. Yeah. I mean, between like, I usually fill my freezers with game meat almost entirely. Like now that I have the couch cook, I only buy beef or pork just so I can like
for the videos
relate with people a little bit more, I guess, right? For the videos and the posts. Like it's the only reason why, but I don't have to buy meat. And if I do buy it, then it's most definitely just from like a local farm here down the road, or there's no need to buy from the big manufacturer or the big producers there.
Speaking of hunting and Joe Rogan, what was that? Have you been to that restaurant? I don't know what part of Canada it is, so it could be like totally away from you. Yeah.
You're talking about Antler. That's in Toronto.
That one.
Yeah, no, I haven't been there. But that's like 6 days of driving to get there. So it's just as quick. It's closer to you than it is to me. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a little ways away. But yeah, Michael Hunter is his name, the chef there. So he's pretty well known in Canada.
I was like, that's such an appropriate name.
Isn't it? Yeah, it is. Sure is. Michael Hunter owns Antler, is a hunter, and butchers deer in front of people in downtown Toronto. Oh yeah, that's my type of guy. The type of guy. We need that. Keep people on their toes.
Yep. Keep those vegans on their toes for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Keep people sharp.
The vegans over there.
Oh yeah, you would downtown Toronto? Oh no, thank you.
No?
No, those aren't my people.
Hold on. Sorry. The telemarketers want to get in on this.
Oh yeah. Yes, I know. Well, I know. Yeah, so yeah, the game meat in Canada is just, it's ridiculous. The variety that we have here is no better place in the world. Like maybe Africa, if you're really into game meat,
That's
right?
true.
Like different types of antelope and deer
But
species that they would have.
that's true. My boyfriend though, he just tried alligator. I gotta try that. That's definitely a Florida, native Florida thing. But he said it was
Yeah,
like
that's
the best chicken he ever had in his life.
I've heard that. Yeah, I haven't really had that one. There was just a restaurant here in Calgary that just opened up that does kind of like funky stuff like that. Alligator, snake, all this kind of different stuff. I'm into it. I'll try it. But for me, it's kind of weird being where we are, because like why would you bring in something that has to come in frozen and from another country when we have all this? It's kind of weird. But like for the sake of trying it, I'll do it.
Yeah. Like when I went to Norway, I went to Bergen for like, I don't know, 20 hours or something. But I had whale for the first time.
Oh, nice.
And because they can have a certain amount for really it's tourism, but they call it like traditional food or whatever. But it was like the craziest. It had the texture of sushi salmon, but it tasted like beef jerky.
Whoa.
It was crazy.
That's a trip. That sounds good.
It was
sounds
good.
Like really good.
And I was with like, people that weren't like foodies. So I'm like trying it and I'm like, my mind is blown and I'm like, but do you see this right now? And they're like, I think you need to go to sleep, Grace. You've been up a really long time.
You're jet lagged.
Yeah. I mean, it was, but I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, this is wild.
This is crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about your job. Like, are you flying right now at all?
No, I'm probably not going back either, unless I get a job at the airline, because they closed the whole. I was like part of the long haul operation, transatlantic flights.
Okay.
So the company, it's like just trying not to go out of business. So it shrunk all the way back to Norway. They're only doing local flights in Norway, so they closed the whole operation. So I'm losing my insurance at the end of the month. But hopefully I do good at the farmer's market on Sunday. But so if you're in Florida, Riviera Beach, check it out.
Riviera Beach. How far is that from Sarasota?
I have no idea. I think Sarasota's on the west coast. No, what of Florida? I think I went there for like a couple hours. My boyfriend is training to be an aircraft mechanic.
Nice.
And sometimes he has to drive around and drop parts off at different airports. So I think we went there once to drop off a life raft.
It's a cool job. I'd like aircraft is like my dream job. Anything like being a fighter pilot was my dream job. If I could do it all over again, that's what I'm doing.
I mean, how old are you?
I'm doing.
As long as you got good vision. 31?
Yeah.
I mean, the cutoff in America is 34. So I don't know what it is in Canada.
I wouldn't fight for the Canadian military. I go to the American. I would join the American military. Are you kidding? I'm not a patriotic Canadian.
It's probably easier to get to the planes.
I'm actually a dual citizen to Switzerland, and after I worked in London, I went back to Switzerland. And the only reason why I came back to Canada is because the military summoned me, and because it's mandatory service in Switzerland. And I was just like rolling in my cooking career. So I was like, no way, Jose, I ain't going to the military. And then I came back to Canada because of it. That's what brought me back here, to avoid military service.
Yeah, I'm not Not a fan. But my ex-boyfriend was a veteran, and he it messed him up pretty bad. He was in Iraq and
Oh,
Afghanistan and everything. So that's
yeah,
actually how I got into cooking marijuana edibles, because so many of the veterans would smoke weed for the night
yeah,
terrors and stuff, because it lowers
for sure.
your blood pressure. And they were giving them like, at the VA hospital, they were giving them like a lot of different drugs, and they were like, this makes me feel like a zombie. So I was
Right.
like, all right, well, if you keep smoking weed, like people don't realize, like, if you're smoking weed, you're still smoking, you know? Oh, you're frozen again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, if you're smoking weed, then you're still smoking. So you have all the problems of smoking, and you're inhaling into your lungs. So yeah, you're frozen still. This is gonna need some editing. Oh, you're in a totally different room. Oh wait, no,
Wait,
that's just a different
I'm
wall.
going. Yeah, I'm going in a different room. Back onto the couch.
The couch
Now
cook
that
is
the
going to
family's
the
gone.
couch.
There we go. There he is.
There we go.
Where he belongs.
Oh,
There's
I
an
like
elk head up there. There's an elk head up there.
the deer
Yeah.
up there.
Beautiful. Elk. It's an elk.
It's an elk.
That's an elk.
Did you kill it?
My brother did actually. That exact one. He killed that one.
That's cool.
It just fits better on my wall.
Oh man, the couch cook on the couch. So
Yeah, there he is.
family. What happened to the chihuahua and the toddler?
Am I frozen? Oh, you want to see the chihuahua?
You're choppy. You're choppy.
Okay. 1 second. Let's see if I can. There he is. You see the chihuahua?
Oh, and there you are.
That's the chihuahua.
Oh,
He's sun tanning. Sun tanning. And the toddler has gone on a sabbatical. No, they went out for the afternoon.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, there's another dog.
Oh, that's Zoe.
That's Zoe. Hey, Zoe.
That's Zoe. she was having a nap.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, you were saying kind of about the veterans, and then
Oh yeah, the drugs, they're not good, but then they smoke and they get the yellow teeth and they get the cough, and so I was like, why
right.
don't you just eat it? So that's how I started making edibles, and I wound up writing a book and made a little brand that Facebook said you're not allowed to do that, so it never went anywhere, but came up with a cool thing.
Oh, that's sweet. That's awesome.
But
that's crazy that they didn't let it go, eh? That's weird.
Yeah, they actually they shut down my whole ability to buy ads, and they didn't review it for like a year and 2 months. So it was dead in the water, basically. It's still available on Amazon, but nobody knows about it because you can't advertise for it.
Wow.
It's all about reach and engagement.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah,
that's too bad. Do you still do a lot of edibles cooking?
Not
baking?
In Florida, just because I don't know as many people that can smoke because the laws and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the laws are for. I mean, I have to get like my medical card. Like I'll do some like CBD stuff from now and then, but the real stuff is illegal. So
yeah, I guess
gotta be careful.
One of my buddies here actually does like pop-up dinners that are all exclusively like cannabis based. The whole
they
thing.
do that in California and stuff all the time, but
do they?
not. Yeah, California,
actually, I think he went to California,
Colorado, like the places where it's recreational. New Jersey just passed it, my home state, and I'm like, oh.
Why don't you ever go back there? Is Florida where life is now, or your
We'll
boyfriend,
see.
I guess, is Floridian?
No, actually, we met each other in 8th grade gym class.
So he's from Jersey too.
Yeah, we grew up in the same town, but he's got to get his license. He's training down here. So when he gets his license, we'll see. But he's also not too convinced that working in the New Jersey winter on airplanes is going to be fun.
You could always come to Canada, and then New Jersey isn't that bad.
Yeah, but maybe I should try that. So
I mean, right now there's guys working in the oil field up north in -60, which is like minus probably 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, today. They don't stop for nothing up here.
oh my God. I don't that's like just go to wind and solar, man. Like
Hey, don't you dare, not my oil and gas here. This is my livelihood, man. No, just kidding. But we're very, very oil and gas here in Alberta, big time.
Once I went to when I went to Copenhagen, I would go all the time.
Yeah.
When you fly in, you see all these giant windmills in the ocean, like right off the coast of Copenhagen.
Yeah.
And when the wind is over like 25 knots or whatever, which isn't that much, the whole city is powered by the wind energy. And it's just like, what are we doing? And then they have all that natural oil and stuff like underneath Scandinavia.
Yeah.
So that's why they're so rich now.
Incredible amount of resources in that northern those northern islands like Norway, Denmark, Iceland. Iceland has those springs where they bake their bread in it.
I saw that. That's awesome.
It's cool stuff.
But they they're smart about it because they're like, well, instead of using this all up ourselves, we'll just export it to these idiots and like use wind and solar and not use, not destroy the earth as much. But we'll see. Like, I mean, I know solar, like you have all the precious metals that aren't renewable and stuff in the panels.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can make a windmill pretty easily,
Yeah. We have huge, some of the largest solar plants, I guess you want to call them, like because where I live is one of the sunniest places in the world.
Really?
Like it's the sun, it gets more sunlight. Calgary, Alberta gets more sunlight than any other city in the world. It's the sunniest city in the world. And solar doesn't work here 90% of the time, 80, 60%, 70% of the time, like a large majority of the time, it doesn't work just because there's so many issues, especially in the winter when you need the heating. Always having your panels covered by snow and snowstorms and this snow damage and wears them out. So they have to like change the technology quite a bit here still. But like a lot of homeowners will get it and pay a lot of money for it. And they say that it takes like 20 years before it kind of even pays for itself because it's not that efficient. It's not efficient in here yet. So working towards it.
Is it
working towards it?
I mean, I would assume it's like it's really sunny. Like, is it far north where you have like that one day where it's just light for 24 hours? Like the midsummer?
No, nowhere in Canada does it get like, I mean, in the provinces, up in the territories, so far north, like where it's kind of right beside Alaska, it can get like that in some areas, but not in the provinces like where we are. We're I'm a 2-hour drive to Montana right here.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
it's always crazy to think about because I've never been to Canada either, so I like don't.
No, you haven't been here?
No. And I lived so close if you like comparatively if you think about it, because I was in New Jersey. It's not that far.
Yeah, to Ontario or to like Toronto, that's not even a big commute. But I always say this, like I go down to the States often. And people are like always so shocked. I'm coming from Canada and it's like a 30-minute drive to the border, not even to my city. Like from their city to the border is 30 minutes. And they're just like, whoa, I've never gone to Canada. I don't like, I've been meaning to go up there. And I'm like, how have you not been to Canada? You live 30 minutes away. But then I think about it, I'm like, but there's, what do you get to see here that you don't have there? That's how I kind of see it. That's how I see it. I don't blame the American mentality. Like a lot of Canadians will blame Americans for their like kind of elite way of thinking. Like I'm American. Like we get that impression. Like
Yeah,
that
but I
impression comes
think
across.
no, I
But I don't
totally
blame
blame
it.
Americans, but I like because it's just, from traveling is one of the best educations you can get.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we live in the richest country in the world, but we don't have, it's so hard for, there's so many problems. One of them being like the wealth income gap is so big, and then the education is so terrible that like you wouldn't even think you could afford to go to Canada. Like you don't, and then the information to get, like, can you still go across the Canadian border with your driver's license, or you need a passport?
Oh yeah. No, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
you need a passport. Yeah. You need a passport.
You need a passport. So a passport is like, I think, I don't know if it's the express is 180, but the minimum is like $100. So if I'm living
Right.
paycheck to paycheck, I can't afford to take off work to go to Canada. I can't afford to buy the passport to even leave. And then like to get the passport is another hassle. You have to find your birth certificate, you got to find your social security card. Like it's less than, I think it's only like 18% of Americans have like left the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, no, I think every single Canadian has been outside the country for sure. Like it's for me to fly to Florida, it's half the price to fly to Toronto. Toronto's in Canada.
That's
But it's like
crazy.
for me to fly to you in Florida and to like Miami or Fort Lauderdale, or to like my flight to Denver, because I was gonna fly to Denver tomorrow, was 290 Canadian dollars round trip, which is like 200 American dollars. But to fly to Toronto, it's like $600 Canadian,
What?
which is like $480 American. So it's not even like remotely close. Like it's cheaper to fly to Mexico, to Cancun, Mexico, than it is to Toronto. So most people from Toronto, unless they live in Alberta or in British Columbia, like in Vancouver, we don't cross paths. I don't go, I've never been to Eastern Canada. I've never
So
been
would
to
it
like
be cheaper to
Toronto,
fly to
Montreal.
like New York and then drive across the border?
Theoretically, but like when you factor in like your gas and the rental
Yeah.
and these types of things, yeah, it would add up. But it's cheaper it was cheaper to fly to London, England, than it is to fly to Toronto, even though you fly over Toronto. So stupid. So yeah, so a lot of Canadians don't travel whenever they get the opportunity to travel. They don't bother traveling in Canada because there's only 5 major cities in all of Canada, in the second largest country in the world. We have 5 major cities. And so like there's a lot of issues with that, right? Like the biggest issue like for us is our cell phone cost for cell phone data is ridiculous. Like my phone probably costs me, most people on average, like $200 a month. Mine's like 350 because I need the extra data, and data is not cheap here because like the infrastructure has to be so expansive for a country that is so, the populace is so small, right? Our entire country's population is basically the state of New York or the state of Florida with 35 million in the entire country. That's the second largest country in the world on landmass, right? So when you're trying to run data through the country, they have to build this infrastructure. It's ridiculously expensive for like your phone coverage or internet and those types of things. So
I didn't realize the population was so small.
Yeah, only 36, 37 million maybe now. But that's the same thing with flights, right? So like for me to get to the next closest big city like Vancouver is a 13-hour drive. And so like a 13-hour drive, most people do that instead of paying the $400 flight or $450 flight to just go to Vancouver.
So you make a journey out of it, huh? You go to
Oh
all the
yeah.
stops along the way.
Yeah, or you just wake up early and you pin her to Vancouver.
Do they have like trains?
No, well, we do have one railway that does Via Rail that does do a train to Vancouver. That's it, and it's more of a tourist thing. Like a local would never use it. I mean, unless you wanted to do like a trip, like make it the trip. But for like the sake of going to Vancouver, you don't do that. You would do it for the sake of taking the train ride. You wouldn't do it for the sake of you need to go to Vancouver.
How much is
that makes
that?
sense.
Is that more than a flight? Sometimes it's more than a flight.
It's probably right around the same, right? It's probably exact. I've never even honestly, it's never even crossed my mind. I think I think it'd be about the same.
So I'm always looking for trains.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I like driving. I like where I live is pretty good for driving. It's not too crazy here for driving. Like we don't have rush hours the same way.
Here's crazy.
Yeah,
time you subway train.
That makes sense. Like whatever. I would have never have drove in London, like in England. No way. We did rent a car once to drive to Manchester, and I was like, it's probably one of the dumber things I've done in my life.
I mean, they're not even on the right side of the road, so
I know.
I
know. Those are crazy.
Ridiculous. I remember we would go, like, when I would fly into London, we stayed at this hotel, the Copthorne, and we would fly to Gatwick, which isn't,
that's where I would fly to. Yep.
Gatwick. So we would get in the van, and they drove like a New York taxi driver or something, but they would make that turn. And I would almost every time I would freak out because I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, you're not going the right way.
Your body's like kind of bracing this way, but they're going that way. You're like, right.
Because you're on the wrong side. You're on the wrong side of the car, and you're on the wrong side of the road. And I'm just like, my brain is like, I'm gonna die.
Oh yeah, no, it's straight out of the subway station. When I landed in London, when I got to the Victoria station, I walked out of the tube, walked across the street to get to my hostel. I'm looking this way for the buses coming I'm looking this way. The bus came out this way. I stepped onto the road. Some random guy, boom, just like pulled me. I would have been street meat in London if it wasn't for that boy. I would have been crazy. Oh, right out the first 4 minutes in the fresh air of London, I would have been absolutely toast. Oh, yeah, crazy.
So
time.
Was that when you were working over there? Did you travel a lot into the other places?
Yeah, when I was working over there, whenever I had usually what would happen is I'd work 26 days in a row and then get 3 days off, and then work 16 days and then get 6 days off. So after the 16 days, when I had those 6 days off, I would always travel somewhere, like go outside the country, because they have the cheap airlines there, like Ryanair and EasyJet. You could go to Iceland for like £20 round trip, or Brussels or Spain, and whatever you want, right? So you got to travel a lot for cheap. You don't get it like the quality of your trip isn't very good. You're more so just in and out, very transient trips, like just for the sake of being there. You kind of went there, but it's still cool to see.
Yeah, it's a layover. That's what it is.
It was a layover, like a little longer layover.
Yeah. I did. I was never lucky enough to get a long layover, where some people would get we would always get stuck in Norway and in Oslo in the middle of the winter for 3 or 4 day stretches, and they would just hold us at the hotel, and it would be the hotel's in the middle of nowhere, and then everything is so expensive compared to America that you were just like trying
Yeah,
not to eat until the free breakfast because it was like $30 for a McDonald's Happy Meal,
right.
and that's all that was
That's
around. But
that's why you need to come
people
here.
who could afford it, yeah, who could afford it would go like to a different country for a couple days and then come back. But I just never had that layover when I could afford it.
Yeah,
But you would
yeah.
take a
That's
risk if you got stuck in the other country and then you missed the flight, like you get in big trouble.
oh, I once coming back from Europe on my endeavor there, I got laid over at Heathrow and we missed the connector flight. So yeah, we were stuck for like another. We didn't get out till like not the next flight. It was like the next day, like not even the next. It was we yeah. They put me in a hotel for like 2 sleeps, and I had I can't even. I think I was like down to my last pennies, like literally last pennies, and I was just surviving off of their vouchers that they they gave you for like here's $20 to eat at this place here or like like here's your taxi voucher. Like if I didn't have any of those vouchers, I would have been toast in London. Oh my goodness, I don't even know how that I would have been able to compromise that. I was like, whew, down to my last straw. Can imagine you had a probably had a couple close calls as a
Yeah,
flight attendant.
yeah, it was
With those.
not a flight attendants don't get paid that much. So,
No, eh?
you know,
I always thought they did.
it depends.
I
If
know
you've
they
been
got paid
at a
well.
legacy company for like 20 years, you get paid a lot. But like, if you're at a newer airline like I was at, and you're not in a union, like you're fucked, you know.
Mm, yeah,
Or if you're like
yeah,
new to the company, like you have to work there for like at least 5 years to make normal money, but then
right.
you're paying back all the bills that you accumulated, like,
Of course. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we just got unionized right before the airline shut down from the pandemic. So like that gave us our insurance for this long, but like we didn't even get to enjoy the benefits of, fighting for a union for
Uh,
5 years. So I
that sucks. That
was like,
sucks.
oh, but
Yeah, it's brutal. But that's why you should travel to Canada, if anything. Like your exchange rate, you're doubling your money almost.
yeah,
Well, not like almost, but like
I thought
you're getting
Canadian money was worth
30%.
more. No,
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 heck no. No, no, no.
the
It's like
American dollar is worth more.
we're like 70 cents on your dollar. So
Oh,
yeah, it's like a 30% increase for you.
the best exchange rate was when I went to Thailand. I would get like,
Oh yeah, of course.
oh my God. I was like
Yeah.
felt like I was like the king over there. You got like
Oh yeah.
a an hour massage for $5.
Oh yeah. I feel like a
Oh my God.
billionaire over
I was
there.
like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
The people are so nice, but it was just also like, you're like, I'm balling right now. I don't want to go back to America right now.
No, so many Canadians end up there. So many Canadians end up there. I have friends there right now, especially with the Muay Thai world, kickboxing and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
So many people end up there. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
were in
Like,
Krabi for a while, and there was a huge Muay Thai stadium like right
yeah,
down the street from the hotel. I
I
didn't get to go
know.
see the fight, but I was like, I got a little
Oh,
shirt. Oh,
oh, sorry. Somebody's just trying to call me. I don't know. I got to ignore
yeah,
this.
that picture doesn't look like you at all. You gotta update that.
I don't know which picture it is. Is it me?
You,
It's me.
it's you, but you got like bleach blonde hair.
Yeah, I have blonde hair.
No, but it's like bleached.
No, that's not me then. Or it is me. I have blonde
With
hair.
like no, but it's like bleach blonde, and then like your beard is like darker.
Well, it's probably summertime. That's why.
It looks like it was. It doesn't even look like you.
Yeah, it's summertime. Am I wearing a blue shirt? Like a blue short shirt?
You have polka dots.
Yeah, yeah. That's that's me in summertime.
That's the tan. That's the tan. You.
To tan me, my hair lightens up, my beard gets darker. Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that one was natural. That's like this bleach
Yeah, it
blonde.
was. No, 100% it was. 100%.
I think you need to look at that photo.
No, I know
We can.
exactly which one it is. I know exactly which one it is. I know exactly which one it is. I'll tell you, that was before the COVID weight, though. That was pre-COVID weight. I think it's the weight that's putting me out of line right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look more bulked up in that picture than now.
Bulked up
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
Oh, there I was probably like 30 pounds lighter than I am right now. I'm
yeah.
definitely more bulked up. That was like probably right before I did the Canadian, that picture's from right before Canadian Nationals kickboxing tournament. So I was in like tip top shape. That was like the day before the fight.
Did
And
you win?
so yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Logan
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah. Logan Paul, where you at?
Where you at?
Canadian national champion right here, Come on. Yeah. No, I won
Is he
that.
kickboxing though, or is he doing UFC like MMA?
No, he's doing boxing, just pure boxing, which is
Oh, pure
perfectly
boxing.
fine for me. Yeah. I I wouldn't even I don't we train kickboxing and Muay Thai, but a lot of the fundamentals that we build on are on boxing.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would feel super comfortable just boxing. I actually think that I would be a better just pure boxer than kickboxer.
I
So
just feel like, I mean, because I'm from the jujitsu school of thought, probably, but I just feel like boxing's dead compared to like you got Mayweather, Pacquiao's
yeah,
kind of like retired, but like
yeah,
you know
yeah. There's a
why
couple. There's
watch
only like,
boxing when you can watch MMA?
oh, I know. No, there's a few good fights out there that like a few boxer fighters that I will go out of my way to watch. But the rest, I'm like, who are these guys? And like, who's that guy he's fighting? Like, you look at guys like um Lomachenko, he just lost to Teofima. But like outside of those top three guys in each division, I'm like, no idea who's boxing. No
Yeah,
idea. Like me, it's very hard to stay on top of. But if you're an athlete, you want to be a boxer. Like if you're a fighter, if you're in combat sports, you want to be a boxer. Even the worst paying professional boxer gets paid better than most professional, like high level UFC fighters. So
really.
I mean, oh yeah. The money is so old in boxing, right? It's like it's so rich with like, it's just such a massive sport, massive, massive, massive. The money behind it is insane. So if you're looking to just get rich, that's the better way to go.
Should have done
A lot
that.
of these, yeah, like a lot of these UFC fighters, even like contenders are like fighting for belts are making like maybe a couple $100,000, but which is like not bad.
No,
But you're
I
talking,
know the most of them are making. I remember like in my school we would train some of the fighters, and like I remember giving them like cans of soup because
yeah,
they didn't have enough money to buy
yeah,
food, and they
yeah,
would
for
sleep at
sure.
the gym, and they wouldn't. That's another reason why um, having the healthcare is so important. Like these guys, like they would go into a fight knowing they were injured just because they needed to get the money to pay for surgery for like their ACL or something like that, and like
Yeah,
and then they don't even have enough food to feed themselves. Like,
yeah. It's kind of a funny thing. I mean, you got to respect the hustle, but yeah, you got to kind of evaluate your life too. What's
yeah,
important here? I don't know. I've always been like I understand, but I don't feel too sorry because I'm like I respect like the hustle and I know that you're a pro athlete, but I'm like, like my coach, he owns his gym. He's like there's more. He's takes his sport and his training very seriously, but there's more to life. So that way he's not like if tomorrow fighting was gone,
exactly.
he would be fine. A lot of fighters unfortunately aren't that smart. Like they're just not that. I mean, just for the nature of what they are. Most of
Well,
us are like,
you get hit in the head a lot, you know?
well, yeah, but even like, you're just kind of that person, you know, you're just kind of
Yeah.
that guy, you know, that you're a fighter. You're like, that's your character. Your character
Yeah,
is
that's
kind
your
of
whole
like that.
identity too.
That's
And
your
that's a
identity,
problem
right?
just
Yeah.
personally. Like, you know, if you are what, that's another thing. Like, I, when you know, I did a lot of things in my life. I'm only 29, but I competed at very high levels in jujitsu. I competed, you know, and I felt like when I was a kid, I was like, I'm a grappler, you know, like I'm
Yeah.
this. And then like it's an identity shift. Like I'm a chef, you know,
Yeah.
but like you have to come to a point where I'm Grace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and I do a lot of these things, but I'm not just that. And I think a lot of people get focused or put into like a category in their own head. And they're like, well, if I don't do this anymore, who am I? And that's like mental health wise, super dangerous, but it's super common.
Yeah, I relate to that entirely. Entirely. Like, yeah, that's exactly how to word it. It's I almost like sometimes put it as like a deficiency, right? Like it's a cool characteristic to have, that you, because you can build your identity around a goal or like whatever it is, because you have like a lot of people have no skill at, like, you know, they just get educated and then they do what they're educated in and that's it. You know, they never have this like desire to be anything more than that. But for me, it's on the other side. I'm like, I just need to like be the best at it, and I just can't cut that out. And then it leads to like this, when all of a sudden you're kind of there or you're just shy of it and you realize like you're still not there to what you thought you would be at. There's a big I don't know, there's just like this big disappointment of what your expectation, I guess. I don't know how to
Yeah.
describe it. Or like it.
Yeah. Because you're like,
So
if I'm
with,
not the best at this, then like, who am I? You know what I mean?
who am I? What is this? What's the point? What's the point?
What's the
Right? Like
point?
that's how you see it, but that's not what it is. But that's how you're interpreting it. And so that with the couch cook, like I'm making a point. Like every day, I make a point of it just being a passion project. Just don't try to do anything fancy. Just be passionate about food and make your videos. Don't try to be the best video maker. Don't try to make the best videos. Let it kind of unfold naturally. Just let it do its thing. Because if I just try to rush to the races again of trying to be the best food YouTuber out there, just so I could get the fight with Jake Paul, and then, you know, get him to notice me and then not come to fruition or something like that, then it just be like, I'm done with YouTube, screw it. And instead of just letting
No,
it
I do that all the time.
be
I
what it
have like
should
a
be.
mental breakdown like once a month. Like it's not, you know, but also because I think if a lot of it is like financial stress, like because of all the
Yeah.
times and stuff that like I really want, you know, I really want this to like be able to make a living off of. Like that's more the stress, if anything, because I
Yeah.
know like once I get to the point where like I can get paid from the ads and everything, like then I
Yeah.
can, then it is a passion project, but I just happen to make money off of it and I can
You could
do,
sustain it.
yeah. But if I think about the like needing to make an income part of it, then I'm like, fuck. Then
Yeah.
I get
No.
more pressure on myself to be perfect and all that. But then I
Yeah.
look stiff in my videos and I look like I'm not having fun, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Your eyebrows are like this, and you're like, oh, today we're baking a cake. Instead of just like, we're making a cake, right? I get it.
Yeah.
I 100% get it. I'm that person to a T. The one thing that is a big difference in this point of my life is that I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I'm pretty established. I got a career that I do make a living in, that I don't have to like escape from. I do like real estate, right? I really do like my job. So there's that. And then got a good family. Like, so I got a lot of things that got me content with other things. So it takes that pressure off of me. The biggest thing that I have trouble with outside of the, like, ideally the goal is to get monetized. Do not let me Like, let me
No,
make that clear. It is a goal. Like, I
yeah,
do want to be monetized. Obviously, I would love it for it to make money, especially digitally and all that. Like what the platform that these are, like,
well,
yeah,
I
I'd love
think
to
that's
take
the
advantage of that.
future, you know. I think you have to
Totally,
be virtual, like,
100%. And with that, COVID's shown that, right? COVID's like revealed that you gotta
yeah,
have more eggs in your basket. And I think if everybody just realized, like, no matter what you do, no matter what you do, you can find a way to get yourself digital. So if you're a engineer and you're like, well, I can't get engineering digitally well, like, you could become a consultant and make your consultant agency virtual and all this kind of stuff. Oh, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, my AirPods are about to die, I think so. Or anything. If you're a massage therapist, you can teach online courses on how to be a massage therapist or these types of things. Like,
Oh
you
yeah,
can get yourself, you could sell your information digitally, like what you know. You could sell your expertise. And I think a big thing that's important about that is you don't need to be an expert in what you know best. You just need to know more than the average. Like, I think that's important. Although, I don't want anybody thinking I'm more than just average. I am an expert, okay?
no, but that's the thing too. Like, I have to remind myself that all the time because um, I think some projects, like, I don't attempt because I know I'm not like I know other people. It's mostly because I know other people that are like way ahead of me. You know what I mean?
Right,
And that, to me, that's standard. But when I don't think of it from someone who doesn't know anything about it.
right.
You know what I mean? Because like I know
Yep.
enough to know that I don't know anything, but like if I get the basics, but like, you know, like for instance, um I've been putting off doing a pizza video
Yeah.
because my friends in Colorado, they're so good at it, and I'm like,
Right.
I really want to have them on the podcast and talk about it and then learn from them before I do it. But I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I gotta just do it, and
Yeah.
then because
One
I'm
thing I
just
could
too,
tell you is just do it. Just do it. You
yeah,
guaranteed, like, you'll know more than most. And people get intimidated by like that super high end expertise, and those real, like, those one-dimensional experts. And this is my quote, this is my favorite quote, is specialization is for insects. Like, as a generalization with food, is like, those guys can make the best pizza in the world. Uh-oh, dog's chihuahua's barking. Here he goes. There he goes.
there he goes.
Finn. Finn. But you got, like, I think what makes a more complete chef is a more rounded chef and cook and whatnot. I think you offer people way more value than that, right? Like, than just being like a pizza chef. But you could show
Yeah,
them what you know, you could direct them, and then part of your expertise is directing them to the additional information. They value that. Oh, I
yeah.
can learn more. That's how you got to see your skills and ability. You got to see it then more than just like, I'm the answer. You got to see yourself as a resource to the answer, and whatever that entails. But don't let that intimidate you out of doing things. Like, I'm not a baker. I can bake and I can do pastry and all this stuff. But and I'll do videos on it. But if I feel like I'm selling the product short, I'll tell people where you can go and find more about this or where I learned it from, and then they can source that information out if they want to. But if they're happy with it, which most likely they will be, they're going to be like, thumbs up, this is great
But
information.
also, that's where I really like, you know, this kind of thing, the community, because, um, like obviously my pastry level, that's my specialty, so I know most about that. But I've because of the fine dining stuff, like I was always thrown into, you know, dessert is the last thing. So like if
Yeah.
Grand Manger needed help, like any other station needed help, and I didn't have any desserts on the line, I'd be jumping over there, you know?
Right.
And
Yep.
even
Yep.
growing up, like I had to beg my way into the kitchen because as a woman, they don't want you back there, especially when
Right.
I was growing up. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had a my best friend's older brother inherited a pizza shop, and I had to stand there for like the whole shift, and I was just begging him to let me wash dishes. And he was like, no, you be a counter girl, be a counter girl, be a counter girl. I was like, fuck that. I need 6 months of training in order to apply for the CIA. Like,
Yeah.
let me be a dishwasher. And he was like, you know, because he also, we bonded because he would watch the UFC, and
Yeah.
I couldn't find anyone else to watch it with because it was pay-per-view only back then.
Right.
So I would go with his buddies and I'd be screaming at the TV. They'd be like, who is this little girl? Like, you know, like knowing more than us. Like, but so he made me clean out the grease trap. There was rotten ranch dressing in it. Oh my God, I'll never forget. And then he was like, so I did that. And he's like, all right, you could be a dishwasher.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Those are hard times. When you have to fight your way to be a dishwasher.
Yeah.
Those are hard times.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I forgot where I was going with that story. But
well, we're just talking about the specialization and generalization.
Oh, yeah. So like I know a lot about, like, that was an Italian place. Sorry. That was an Italian place, but you know, so I learned so much from just working in all these little places. I worked at a bagel store. I was there. I couldn't work the grill because of the insurance and being underage and everything. But you know, just my expertise is more than pastry. But then, like, I want to learn how to do like beef jerky and stuff. I just got a dehydrator. So when I do that kind of thing, like, maybe my video is going to be like super basic, but then, like, you know, someone like you who does all the hunting, I'm sure you know how to make like beef jerky and butchery and all that other stuff. Then I can direct my followers to you. And like, you make a chocolate mousse video, you'd be like, hey, this is basic.
Check out Grace. Go see Grace.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly it. That's part of like that's part of the appeal. I find it very off-putting for people that try to like flex out everything. And I can see it. Like, even Josh Wiseman, I know when Josh Wiseman is talking about things he doesn't quite understand. Yeah, I see it loud and clear. Like, but most people, everyone else doesn't. Quite literally, almost everyone else doesn't understand, like, doesn't see it, right? Like they so it's not a big deal. And then if he needs to pass that information on, he passes it on. Or he knows his sourdough quite well. So Babish had him on to do like a sourdough episode. It's great to like leverage followings on each other.
But he also doesn't know sourdough that well.
He doesn't. No, but like well enough for like someone that has no idea on how to do sourdough.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But like, at the same time, I'm like, there's so many people out there that, because I mean, my bread game is like not super strong, but like there's so many, like, they have such a huge influence. Like they could get Tartan from San Francisco in there if they wanted to, you know?
Yeah.
Like they could get a real like bread person in there, and then they don't. And I'm kind of like,
they don't. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with it. Like, they don't really like direct where they're getting their information from. When you know, well, actually, Babish will like cred Kenji Lopezalt quite a bit if that's where he's got like ideas and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it only adds benefit to, like, you know, add it where you're getting your information or whatnot. Like, you as a chef, you obviously learned it from somewhere.
Yeah.
You learned something from somewhere.
Yeah.
You didn't come up with that sourdough technique. I can tell you that much. I know, you know what I mean? So where can I find out more? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I think that's, yeah.
All right. I gotta go prep for this farmer's market thing.
All right. You go get your farmer game on.
It was great talking to you. We gotta do this again.
Likewise.
Maybe I'll come on the couch cook next time.
That's the deal there. We'll do that. Yeah. We'll swing that.
All right.
That sounds good. Cool. Well, thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate that. It was lots of fun.
You're welcome.